Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. I'm back DMing a viewer game. Crazy stuff. Before we jump in and say hello to all these beautiful faces around the table, please check out the links that are coming up in chat now. That includes the Discord. There is a channel just for the Shards of Siberys game where you can go scream into the void and yell about your theories. As it were. Also, if you miss anything, we will upload all of our games in playlists to YouTube, so you can go check them out there. You can also check out last season's game. And if you want to come and play in Eberron, drop Scrat a DM on Twitter and we'll get you in a game. Also, I will say, take heed of the content warning that is coming up, because we're trying to make that a lot more visible to everyone this season. A huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Mageham Press. You will have seen their Faefolio, DM'd by the lovely Mackenzie, game before this. Also Hero Forge, that do those fantastic minis with the Kickstarter that just blew it all out of the water. We are doing some more stuff with them very soon, so keep an eye out for that. Also, the wonderful Deck of Many, the Deck of Many Things. This is something you can donate to affect the game. Look at him go. This is my favorite card. But you can donate for that and affect the game. And they also created Humblewood, which you'll be able to see tomorrow at 6 p.m. EST. Also a viewer game for DM Scrat if you want to get in on that. A few more things. Because it's Eberron, I have a special 24 long list of magic items that you can donate, specifically Eberron magic items if you want to gift these lovely people here. Also, every 10 retweets, we do get a wild magic surge, which is shenanigans galore, which is something I adore anyway. Otherwise, let's head around the table and say hello to everyone. And I get to say this for another season. We're going to start with the very lovely Hans. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. I am here to be called lovely and also to play Dungeons & Dragons. I come for both. I am here for both. Thank you for making my dreams a reality. My character name on the overlay is different than my actual character name. My character's actual name will be Basalt, and his pronouns will be he, him. And I'm just pointing it out because I read that now. Looking forward to some fun in Eberron.
Wonderful. Thank you. And then we're going to hop down to Scott. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Scott Rohrbach, he, him. I'm playing Gen 4 feet today. They, them. Halfling Druid. Excited to play one more time. It's been almost a year, I think, since I was on a stream.
Oh, yeah. Jeez, that's gone fast.
Thank you for having me back.
Welcome back. Wonderful. Thank you. Then we're going to hop down to Reliable. Oh, hi.
Hello. My name is Eli. Tonight I'm going to be playing Lionel, High Elf Cleric. Super excited to do this.
Fabulous. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, oh hi, Captain Fake Eye.
Hello, I'm Faye, or Captain Fake Eye, and I'm excited to be here as well. I am going to be playing Cinnamon, not Amaya, but that's a cool name too. I'll go by whatever.
We will get on to shifting those names around, but otherwise, hello Raiders, before we start. So you have joined in just at the start as we begin our Eberron campaign, and that is where we'll start. Welcome to Sharn, a city of towers. This is a great city, and it is a place of magic, mystery, and intrigue. There are airships and sky coaches that are circling the mile-high towers, and mystic forges toiling down in the cogs. Sharn stands just above the Dagger River, usually a bustling, working port city. It's currently amid celebration, if you couldn't tell already. The sun is low in the sky. It is starting to get later in the afternoon, and the narrow streets are decorated with colourful streams, materials. The smell of food fills the air, and the voices of merriment as flagons are clattering together and fireworks are whistling and popping overhead. It is the Midsummer Festival, and I would like to know where Basalt is right now at this Midsummer Festival. Where would he be? And everything is here.
Okay, so this is a midsummer festival. And what are like the expectations of somebody who is a house agent at something like this? Is there like a particular ring of the festival you have to be in?
There's no particular ring you have to be in. There at the moment, there are a lot of halflings running around with fireworks that seem to be heading towards some of the main walls to fire them off over the Dagger River. It's mainly food, music, taverns, and people are pouring out into the street. There are a lot of stalls, like market stalls, selling trinkets. There's glamour weave. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Okay, so Basil is supposed to be at an appointment. He's supposed to be meeting somebody who's like a contact, and he's been told, the nice thing is to go and meet with this person. He's not doing that. He is over in a corner, kind of leaning up against a wall, and he's eating like a little honey sweet, and it's getting all over his fingers. He's making a really messy job of it, but he's like licking his fingers clean at this point, and he's planning on asking for a couple more after that.
And what does Basil look like?
Okay, so Basil is half orc. He's got kind of like a medium green skin tone. I don't have a Pantone wheel in front of me, so we're just going to do with that. Black hair that's kind of long and wavy to the side, like I wish my hair was. And right now he's wearing like a vest over a shirt that looks like it is supposed to be clean and nice, but has inexplicably picked up like soot stains, a little bit of honey, and maybe like some tea around the cuffs. Not great. And he's also wearing like a big fur cloak, because he's trying to figure out what is appropriate formal wear for this event. So he went with a big fur cloak.
And you're sort of stood there. You can see the stall where they're selling these honey treats. And it is laid out sort of like in a two-tiered sort of effect of just these wooden boxes upon different treats. You can see lots and lots of different things like fruit that have been coated in glazes, these honey treats, actual honeycomb just stacked up and piled up. And you can see some kids running past you. They're sort of, they've got these little, what look like balls of material, just tiny little ones. And you know that these have come from the halflings that have come into the town, as they throw them up in the air and they sort of burst into brightly different color bits of paint. And even if they land on you, it slowly seems to seep in or disappear, evaporate. You're not too sure. It doesn't stain. But there's that little old lady that is stood behind this stall selling the honey on a stick, handing them over to the kids. And she's sort of looking at you every now and then, as you are the only adult that has come to this store at the moment.
It's very, very valid. Okay, so Basil is now like taking out a handful of sticky coins, like probably small denomination coins, like silver pieces, and just hands them to her and says, look, if any of these kids want something, just here's a few coins for that. But it's a festival. Let them have fun.
She sort of holds out her hand. It's very kind of you, sir.
I also would like another one because they're delicious.
What would you like the straight up honeycomb or the stick? Or I've got chocolate covered somewhere, and those weird berries my husband picked. And she starts digging around.
What do you recommend?
Oh, it's my store. I recommend all of it. Would you like all of it? You've given enough.
Yes, here's a couple more. Yes, just give me that.
Okay, I'll get a box for you, sir. And she bends down and pulls up this wooden, very handmade box. She's like, would you like it gift wrapped?
I'm going to eat almost all of this immediately.
Is that a yes or a no, sir?
It's appreciated, but no, there's absolutely no point.
Okay. No worries then. And you can see these edible like petals that come out, and she does like a little sprinkle on top anyway, which you're pretty sure is part of the gift wrap process. But she hands over these sort of sticky treats and delights as you go. And for a moment you feel someone small bump into you. You hear, sorry mate, as he this small gnome sort of pushes past you.
That's fine. Did you want one of these? There are a lot of these. I really shouldn't be caught eating all of these.
He sort of looks up at you. Thank you, Kai, for that advantage to Hans. Looks up at
I'm not really supposed to take from strangers.
Well, I mean, that's fine. If you want to take one from the stall owner, feel free. I mean, again, I've given her a couple coins.
Oh. All right then.
And he sort of like watches you doesn't turn his back to you. In fact, he seems very suspicious of you, if anything. And he sort of walks over, reaches out, takes a stick with a piece of honeycomb on, and slowly starts to shift away. And you can see this gnome is, he's got this very much a flurry of curly white hair that's peeking out from beneath the hood. He's got very bright, vivid purple eyes, this long blue scarf wrapped around his neck, sort of resting above this leather waistcoat, which seems to rattle quite a bit when he walks. And his boots are definitely too big for him, tied with lots of different coloured material at the top. And you can see a scar running across through his eyebrow and just narrowly missing his eye. And this is not a child gnome.
I'm really glad. I would be much more concerned.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a fighty child. Yeah. And he sort of looks at you and he's like, I'm gonna be going. Just
That's fair.
so
Yes, I'm going to
you're
be eating these and avoiding responsibility.
Responsibility. Why? What do you do?
Oh, and underneath Basil's big fur cloak, he's got his House Thrashk badge. And so he like pulls the cloak aside and says, I'm supposed to be doing guild business or house business right now, but I'm not really planning to.
His eyes widen a little bit. He's like,
You work for one of the houses.
Right, but not right now. Not right now.
and he sort of looks from side to side and he quickly darts off down the street and you hear him rattle on the way. Could you make a perception check, please?
I can attempt that. That is something I can attempt to do. Let's see. Now, I have a cool thing I've got to look up here. I get to add a D4 because of my dragon mark. Okay, so. Asking a lot here, Alice. Gotta find all these buttons.
I know, I do it every time.
So I got that.
Yeah, you
And it's a number.
sort of
Shall I bother?
you sort of like your hands are covered. I was gonna say cheese. Your hands are covered in this delicious goo, and you sort of start looking around for a handkerchief. As you pat yourself down, you realize your purse is gone. And you can
Yes,
see
well.
this gnome sort of strolling off very happily with this honeycomb in his mouth as he's disappearing, kind of weaving in between the crowds.
Okay, well, I mean, I should go do something about that. That's the responsible thing to do. So I'm going to go do something about that.
Are you running or are you strolling?
How about this? How about I will stroll, but I'm going to use Hunter's Mark on him.
Yes.
We're just going to use all the magic right away in the
all
first
the
5 minutes of this
magic in
game.
the first 15 minutes.
So I'm just going to use my Mark of Finding, because that's my thing that I do for being part of the House Thrashk. I'm going to Hunter's Mark him, and then just leisurely stroll in his direction while I eat honey.
You notice as he does it every now and then he starts like, as if he's ruffling his hair, as if he feels something's on him, but he keeps moving and weaving through these streets. Cinnamon, where would you be at this point at the festival? Where would we find you?
Sorry, forgot that I was muted. So Cinnamon has never been to a midsummer festival before. She is the most excited 16-year-old girl you've ever seen in your entire life. She probably has on her back just like everything that she's won from all the little festival games. So there's just like a bear, like a rabbit, just these huge stuffed animals. She's holding like 3 candied sticks in her hand, eating them. And then she's also playing right now a card game and
You've
trying to win something else.
got your arms
Just holding
full.
all these things. Yes.
There's a man sat opposite you. He's cross-legged and he's got 3 cups in front of him. And he holds up a ball. Says, "You can find which cup the ball is in after I move them all, then you win." And then he looks at all of these things that you have sort of all over you. He's like, "You can win my prize cup." And he pulls out this very similar looking plastic kind of it. It's a very cheap cup.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm so excited to play.
He sort of again looks at you. He's like, watch the ball very carefully. And he puts it down
She's watching.
and covers with one of the cups. And he starts to shift and move them. And his eye contact never leaves you at all. But
I'm watching the cups.
you please roll either. Let's have a look. Hang on, because can you believe it's been a ridiculous amount of time since I actually played D&D? You can either do a perception check, or I will say sleight of hand, because you're kind of watching him do it.
Oh yeah, my sleight of hand is so much better. So I will roll that. How did that go?
Let's have a look.
No.
17. Yeah, you watch him, and as you do, you notice as he's moving the cups, he's lifting them up slightly and passing the ball in between each as he shifts them and moves them around. And he comes to a stop. He looks quite confident. He's in very, not lavish clothes, gaudy clothes, if anything, the performer's clothes that he definitely only brings out for these sorts of occasions. And he looks to you rather smugly. He's like, hit.
And now have I been able to figure out which one it's under because I've seen him shift? Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to sit back and pretend like I'm thinking really hard. I'm going to take a bite out of my candy, take a while, do some chewing, and say, well, I think if I was just watching the balls or watching the cups, you'd want me to pick this one. And I point to the one on my left, I suppose.
Yeah, and he's like, are you
But-
sure it wasn't quite this one? And sort of gestures to the other two.
But if I was watching the ball, I know that it's actually under this one. And I point to the one in the center.
And you can see a sort of like a twitch at the corner of his eye. Fine. And lifts up the cup. And as he does so, he reaches over and pulls this slightly, it looks very similar to the same cup. And he picks up the ball and puts it in there and goes, there you go, I guess. Well done.
Oh, did I win? Thank you, sir. My name is Cinnamon. This is my first time here, so I'm really happy that I won your game. What's your name?
Your first time. You got it
Yeah.
on your first time.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And he starts to pack up some of his cups and puts them to the side.
Can we go
And-
again?
No. And he starts
Oh.
to stand up and move away.
I'm assuming that there's been like a long train of people who kind
There's
of
been-
all packed up their stuff.
There's like a crowd as well that have been following you, which you probably haven't noticed, but they're like, oh my God, this kid. Like, as you go through all of these tricks and trinkets and things like that. And thanks to the wonderful wild magic surge that has just been rolled, as you touch this cup, you sort of look down in it, and the ball is still swirling round as if you threw it in and tossed it. And as it does, you look into it, and there's a moment where you follow it round and round, and it changes from a red ball to blue. And as you look at your hand holding the cup, your skin starts to turn blue as it starts to seep up and sort of move all over your body. And it's almost like a shimmery blue, almost glittery, as it sort of starts to just spread completely.
I drop the cup on, like, kind of as like a shock, drop it back onto the table. Mister?
It wears off in an hour as he sort of waves his hand away.
Okay, but if it doesn't, where can I find you? What's your name again? I didn't catch that the first time around.
And you can hear him like, call me George, and he keeps walking.
Okay,
You-
George. Okay, that's a real name. It's totally not made up. She said
Yeah.
that sincerely.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'll be at the tavern. like wider. You see he's just walking with his back to you. And at that, you feel someone bump into your sort of probably up to your knee.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. You're kind of blocking the way.
Oh,
with
I'm
all of
so
these-
sorry, sir. Oh,
No,
hi, what's your
that's fine.
name? I'm Cinnamon. This is my first time here in the big city. My first market, so yeah. What's your name?
He sort of looks up at you with those violet eyes, frowning.
Stuck out my
Is-
hand,
is
just
it-
like one of these things.
Yeah, he
Right in his face.
takes his hand. He puts something in his waistcoat. Takes your hand. He goes,
You're disgustingly cheery. Do you know that?
What does disgustingly cheery mean?
I wasn't
This is just
expecting
me.
to have to explain it, but very happy.
Oh, yes, of course. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to meet you. Have a good day.
and he's sort of like, you can see he's got this lolly sort of as he's walking, and he's got it in the corner of his mouth where it's really sticky, and he's like,
Right.
he starts to mutter to himself as he walks away. And if I remember correctly, you know Basalt, or you know of each other at least.
I think we know each other. Maybe we came here together. We just split up because he couldn't stand me playing all the games.
You'd probably see Basalt weaving through the crowd after you as this gnome slowly disappears off.
All right. Oh, hey, Basalt. Hi, over here.
Cinnamon, how are you?
I'm doing good. I won this cup game. And then the ball turned my skin blue, but apparently it's supposed to wear off for an hour, so I can roll with this.
Okay.
What's in the box?
It's a nice blue. It's honey treats. Would you like some treats?
Yes. And I think she does one of those things where she just like reaches in and grabs one, not because she's being rude, but she's just super excited, 16 and an only child.
Fair. Cinnamon, I am looking for someone who stole my purse. And
Oh,
they
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I will get it back eventually. They can't really run from me for long. But I have to go that way.
Okay. Can I come? Can I help?
I would love that because I'm not very fast, as you may recall. And with that, Basil taps his manky knee, his like bad knee. I forgot to mention that Basil is also holding like a curved walking stick type cane because he does have a bad knee and he walks with a severe limp. So he is now limping off in that direction with Cinnamon.
What does Cinnamon look like?
Cinnamon is probably kind of thin and willowy. She's got brown hair, some fair skin. She looks very much like a 16-year-old kid, probably a little bit younger. People like, if they don't take a good look at her because she's kind of short for an elf, because she hasn't finished growing it, they'd probably think that she's like she kind of gets the whole like, how old are you, 12 kind of thing.
Awesome. And Lionel, what do you look like and where do we find you in Shan right now?
So Lionel is a very tall, very slender, high elf with very dark skin and has buzzed his hair short. He's dressed in, for the most part, he's wearing his armor, and he just has his shield like sort of thrown to the side a bit, and he's like probably wherever the best place that he could see as much as he could would be.
So is he looking towards the fireworks, or he wants to look in the food sort of area or the trinket sort of area?
Probably the food.
Yes.
He's over there, and he's just got a journal that he's just like opened out in front of him, and he's like looking at everything very like quickly and writing things down and like muttering to himself, yes, this is good, this is great, and just sort of taking in the whole scene, and he looks very overwhelmed and very much like he doesn't belong in a way.
And you're sat it's almost the reason you feel probably very overwhelmed, it's quite a narrow street. You could have the whole view of the beginnings of this Midsummer Festival as the street sort of dips downwards, heading down towards the Dagger River and down to where the port is, so you can see everything around. You've almost gone to one of the high points of this festival, so you can see, and you can smell all these amazing aromas, these meats, these vegetables. You can see huge cooking pots. You can see what looks to be a fairly burly dwarven woman who has got this giant cast iron pot, which she is just flipping with one hand. It's bigger than her, but she is like tossing some food in this. You can see this human next to her almost looking mildly impressed, just with what look to be some sort of like chickens and things on like a spit as it's going round. But there's a lot of food here and it smells very good. And you're looking at your journal, sort of talking to yourself, when you hear this small voice and these purple eyes sort of look at you over this journal.
What are you doing? Were you talking to me?
No, but I can be.
Oh.
Hi. Lionel.
Hi. You're not the first person who's done this to me today. I'm Lewis.
And he sort of holds out his hand.
Hello, Lewis.
And
what brings you to the festival? And I'm like writing as I'm talking to him.
And he's sort of trying to look at what you're writing, but it's not quite working. But you can tell he's trying to look. He's like,
strolling through, just strolling.
And he's, again, you'd probably notice he's rattling a little bit. In his
do you have a lot of wares
well.
to sell?
No, I don't sell wares.
Oh, did you buy a lot of stuff then?
I'm a collector of sorts.
Oh, what do you collect?
And you can see him pause as if he's trying to figure out the exact words to say.
I like shiny things.
Oh, yes.
That does. Who doesn't? Right?
Yeah.
Do you want honey on a stick?
And he hands out this thing to you.
Yeah, sure. And I take it and I basically eat it whole. And I'm just like, or that's good. And I go right back to writing a lot. Thank you for that.
That's all right. What you're writing about?
Oh, everything.
That's a lot of stuff to be writing about.
That's why the journal's so big, and I have more.
Like more journals, or you've already written some of them?
I've already written some of them, and a lot of them are blank.
Do you like writing then?
Yeah.
Can you read too?
Yeah.
You got anything pretty on you?
And he's looking at you like, are you dressed quite lavishly almost? Because you're in like armor to him, so he's sort of looking you up and down.
It's he's dressed very like, his armor is very polished, and you can tell that he like takes a lot of care in like keeping himself well put together, but he doesn't really have anything else besides like his shield and his like pack that just has like books galore.
Yeah, he doesn't seem interested in the books. You're not too sure why, but he's just like, but he does seem to be analyzing everything on you.
And I'm like analyzing him right back, and I just keep like getting closer and like examining and like writing things down.
It's sort of like you're looking at each other a little bit too closely, hello readers, as he sort of like looks at you, and it's not a glare, but it's definitely an inquisitive sort of look. And he sort of slowly sidles away, sort of maybe thinking you haven't got anything he particularly wants. And you can see him He doesn't go far. He goes to the next stall. And it's...
Okay, bye.
Yeah, he's just... doesn't say anything and keeps sort of rattling away as he goes. And...
Collector of shiny things. All right.
Jen, where would you be? Is it Jen or Gen? Sorry.
And I love markets and I love parties and I live outside in the forest, so I don't get into town very often, but I wouldn't miss this sort of thing for the world. I've been dancing and dancing and dancing and dancing. I love this music and I am so tired. I've been doing the maypole for about an hour and I'm tired. So I put down my feet. I put up my feet on a bench, on a porch outside of a tavern, and I've got a beer in one hand and I've got my pipe in the other, and I am, oh, this is the best.
You are sat outside a tavern called the Soggy Possum, and it is very much full of just so many people drinking, eating, laughing. It's you can't really hear exactly what anyone's saying because there's so many conversations going on. You, on your way down from after dancing around the maypole, you did see Lionel. You saw this very sort of mysterious looking elf buried in their journals, and he seems to have been talking to a small gnome who seemed to leave pretty quick. And could you make a perception check please for me? Okay, you're sat there, you've got this pipe on the go, you've got a drink, you're tired, your feet are up, and you're watching this gnome as he leaves this tall high elf and walks over to this stall, which is laden with trinkets and shiny things and almost things that look like things made from glass that seem to be glowing as they're touched. He's touching everything. He's picking them up, putting them down, picking them up, putting them down, moving them around. He's really engaging with everything on here. And
you break it, you buy it, kid.
And he's immediately, as you say that, he stops and puts it down. And he goes,
You
Trust me,
watching
it happened to me.
You watching me?
No, just keeping an eye out for you.
So you're watching me?
Well, now I am.
And he looks incredibly awkward and very aware now that you're doing this. And this gentleman behind the store is like, would you put that down? You know, is sort of telling him to not touch things and things like that. And Lionel, actually, could you make a perception check as well? Because you are in line of sight, technically.
Yes, I can.
Okay. You're in your journal, you're in your beer, like this. But I will say you do see this gnome sort of grumbling about, and he seems to be looking at this sort of shop front. It's almost like this is built into what looks like a house, and they've just pulled an awning out and set up a few tables. And this burly man comes out and starts rearranging everything that this gnome has touched on here. And Basalt, at this point, you and Cinnamon can come round the corner. I will say you'll spot Lionel, because Lionel might stand out quite a bit as the fact that not celebrating, not at all the stalls, just sort of reading or writing in their journal.
So, Cinnamon, if you see the gnome, the thief, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just keep following in the general direction.
Okay, and I am super fast. I can totally catch him. It's going to be so great.
That would be very much appreciated, yes.
Do I see the gnome at all? Can I make a perception check?
Yeah, make a perception check.
All right. No, not my best.
Usually 21.
Oh, no good.
You sort of look through the crowds. Your sight first of all lands on this high elf that is writing in his journal. A few other people that seem to be laughing and drinking and eating as they walk down the street together. A couple of kids sort of throwing these magic sort of like shots up into the air as they explode in color. And you also see Jen, who's got feet up, got a long pipe on, sat outside this tavern you know fairly well. You walk past it often. Actually looks very busy today. And then your eyes rest on this gnome. And on a 21, you can see him opening up this waistcoat of his. And there's one thing in particular he seems to be very interested in on this stool. And he takes a quick look around before reaching over and putting it in his pocket, trying to like button it up and start to walk away down the road, sort of just past Jen, but is headed that way. And Lionel, I will also say, what do you write with in this? Do you have a particular quill or ink or something to that effect?
I always forget that we have to write with things. It is a quill.
I will say you notice some of your pots of ink are missing.
Oh no. Pots of ink are missing. Not really sure what happened there.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
No, go ahead, finish your thought, because I was going to go chase after him.
I like check out my surroundings a bit. Do I still see like the gnome, or did anyone else come close to me that I would think about?
You can roll either perception or insight.
I think they're both about the same, so okay, that's better.
Yeah, you're looking, you sort of think the last person you spoke to was this gnome, and they seem to linger maybe a little bit too long. And you will see a few drips of that emerald green ink on the floor in front of you, and it almost these little pitter-patter of trails as this gnome is walking with confidence. Like, there is a swagger there. It's not just like tiptoeing away. It is walking with confidence.
The hunt is afoot, and I go off in the direction of the foot traffic.
Okay.
I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to whisper to Basalt and say, I see the gnome! And I'm like pointing very frantically in that direction. And I'm going to say, listen, I think if we sound the alarm and scream out that there's a thief, he's just going to run and we're going to lose him. But I'm going to go after him very, very quietly. And then I'm going to roughen him up a little. Rough him up a little. That's what people do, right? To thieves?
I think that's what a guard
They rough
would do,
them up
yes.
a little, and then I'll get your purse back.
Right. Would you like me to help, or do you want to just...
No. So what I'll do is I'm going to go after him really quickly, and then you follow me, and then you help me rough him up a little.
Right. And would you like me to say pick him up in the air, or what were you thinking about with this roughing up?
That's about as far as I got. I don't really know what roughing up means.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. If this was the Shadow Marches, you'd probably like lift him up, put him on one of those wooden rack things.
Oh,
maybe tighten that down.
Okay. Okay.
But that seems excessive. I don't really think that's the way to go for this.
Oh, okay. So I'll just hold him, and then you come and do what you think is appropriate.
All right.
Sound good?
Sure.
Okay. Ready? Go.
So what are you doing, Cinnamon, as you go to...
So she does this. She's going to sneak. She's going to sneak very quickly.
Could you roll me a stealth, please? Because it's rogue against rogue, and I'm trying to find my dice.
All right, let's see. Cross fingers. 19.
I'm not even joking, nat 20. I'm so proud of you. You can't see it. I'm so happy. I've never rolled that. On a nat 20, how would you be approaching him?
It's probably very silly. She thinks she's on a spy mission. So she's like doing one of those. She has everything on her back. She's probably quite conspicuous, but she'll like do one of those things where she like looks around, runs very quickly, hides behind a stall, pokes her head out, runs very quickly to the next stall, pokes her head out, kind of on the way towards the gnome.
I will say that there's a moment where you do that over the top, like Scooby-Doo, when Shaggy creeps with like his legs, you sort of start creeping like that. And Basil, you see Cinnamon do this. Lionel, you definitely do, because Cinnamon goes straight past you to do this. And Jen, you see this 16-year-old girl with a lot of toys and stuff under her arms trying to sneak. You're pretty sure this is the reason this sort of goes. And this gnome stops in front of you, almost dead stop, looks and makes eye contact with Basil, Cinnamon, and Lionel. And as he does, he takes off in a run and he starts to sprint away down these small winding streets. He seems to be sliding under people's legs, shoving people out of the way, and there's a moment where he starts to disappear. Basil, you've still got your hunter's mark on him. But what would all four of you like to do? Because you've all seen this.
I book it right after him. And I'm like, Basil, he saw us! He saw us! And I'm just gonna run after him. I'm probably losing toys along the way. They're probably just falling off my path.
Falling off you.
Is he within 90 feet?
He's gone past 90 feet from you. He's literally sprinted seeing Cinnamon. What is Lionel doing as you see this gnome leg it?
So Lionel was already like not being like very stealthily as he was like walking up to this man, and you just like he breaks out into a sprint, and it's so loud, like you can hear him through like the whole every hallway, every corridor, clank 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 clank, as he's going after him, and he just yells, Lewis, I think you grabbed my ink pots. I need those back.
And you're like yelling after this gnome. How about Basil? What are you doing?
Basil is doing like a light power jog. Like he's like hopping on one leg and, occasionally putting the stick down and just going kind of fast.
Perfect. You're sort of just behind Cinnamon and this high elf that seems to have appeared out of nowhere, yelling about ink pots after this gnome. What about Jen? You've sat here and you've watched this young girl tear past with a load of cuddly toys, leaving a trail as you go. This high elf in clinking armor sort of charging and trying to weave between people. And then a bit of a light jog of this half-orc in furs in midsummer start running past.
I'm gonna wild shape into a lion and run after the gnome.
Okay, okay, first of all, I need everyone to make a dexterity check, straight up dexterity save so that you can weave, or I will allow athletics.
Okay, was it a dexterity save or was it a dexterity check?
Check, sorry.
Okay, I'm gonna do the worst of the two.
Okay.
Well.
Okay.
Okay, just first one.
Okay. Let's have a look. So, somehow, Basil is taking the lead with his limp, and it's more because Lionel, you're charging and you're running, and people seem to be panicking for some reason as you're running, and you can hear this clank of the armor. You're calling after this gnome, and then a lion sort of launches itself almost over your head, and you realize that this is the people panicking and fleeing in different directions as it goes past. And Cinnamon, you're running, you're weaving, you're getting knocked over, your like toys are getting caught on things everywhere as this is coming by. And you too, for some reason, see a lion. But Basil is just tearing it up as he sort of half uses his stick to move people out of the way. It's a mixture of that, and I don't think Basil's seen the lion yet, so he doesn't understand why the crowd is parting for him.
That's fair.
And this gnome is sprinting. This gnome has looked back. He's seen 3 people and a lion running after him, and he is screaming the entire way. This is a like his like arms in the air. It's not an elegant run. It's not an athletic run. He is weaving. He's crashing into things. And could all of you make a perception check for me, please?
Any chance smell is involved?
Smell is not involved.
Ugh.
Do I still get hunter remark bonuses for doing this?
You do.
Okay, so this is advantaged.
Okay. Okay. I will say then, Lionel, you see this first in the fact that what it is. You can see this gnome is almost... You see him weave between one first set of legs, and you've got your eye on him, you're following him, but then suddenly he's over there, between another set of legs as he's sort of diving and skidding under, and then he's over there. And Basalt, what you can see is almost like these little flashes of blue as this gnome runs and jumps and throws this sort of almost blue wisp of magic into the air, creating a portal and throwing himself through them to put himself in different directions. I would also say everyone needs to make an athletics check or an acrobatics as a cow crosses your path because it's now freaked out by the lion and people are trying to herd things out of there.
Oh gosh. We are rolling poorly, friend.
Okay, let's see. So acrobatics is worse.
Is the person with the limp gonna be the
Pretty
Okay.
close.
I will say that Lionel, there's a moment where you're running and you've just seen this lion literally launch itself above you so that when you turn, this cow comes up way too fast and you hit it in the side and just immediately down. You sort of crash and a clatter on the floor. There's no damage, but it's literally almost knocks the wind out of you. And as you do, you see Basil quickly sort of maneuver around this cow as he starts to head past you. Unless someone helps Lionel up. There is also a lion running towards you, Lionel. The irony,
Yeah.
Lionel and Lion. And Cinnamon, you have somehow... How would you like to navigate this cow? How would you? Would you like vault over it? What would you do?
Absolutely. She is running. The cow comes in front and she does one of those things where she just like, it's almost like a little hop where she like puts her hand on the cow's back and just swings her legs over and just keeps running.
Okay. And you sort of, Lionel, again, you look up. First of all, a lion has gone over and now this teenager has pole vaulted over a cow just in front of you, shortly followed by a half-orc hobbling after them with a stick. I will say you can all see this gnome getting further ahead and he seems to be heading down towards the docks. What would you all like to do? Lionel, you don't have to use an action to get up, just so you know.
How far is he?
I'd say he's about 60 feet, something like that. He's using the... And what I will say is, when I say he's getting further ahead, you can hear the chaos from the people running the stalls around him as he's sort of glitching in and out. He's knocking stalls over. He's trying to throw them down to distract you. You can see all of these treats just sort of stream across the pathway. And this gnome is like up on the awnings, up on the roof briefly, and then down on some of the lower steps.
I have a bell in my possession. And I would like to throw this bell, which I imagine to be a cowbell, the 60 feet, and hope to clock him in the head.
I will let you roll either an athletics or sleight of hand if you're like really lining this up.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do sleight of hand since I am a rogue. Please.
Oh, 24. Yes. Okay, we'll come to that in a second. What is everyone else doing as you see this teenager line up a bell and start swinging it towards this gnome?
I'm still running after the gnome. With a 10-foot running start, the lion can long jump 25 feet over the cow, although it briefly considers having lunch.
Yeah.
Let's keep going.
How about Lionel? What's Lionel doing?
Scrambling to my feet, and I'm gonna keep running. I don't think I'm within 60 feet, probably because I fell over, but
No, actually you are. You're probably just in it. Like the cow was kind of the stopper. So
oh, then I'm casting a spell. Oh.
Go for it. What are you casting?
I'm gonna cast command at first level, and I'm just gonna say stop.
Okay, roll for me.
It's
Or is it
wisdom saving throw?
Wisdom save? Why have I just put my dice away? What is it? I've got it. Well, I don't know. I've got a 12.
Fail.
Fail. Okay, so Basil, you're hobbling up towards it. You can see a lion sort of clawing towards you as people are screaming, getting out of the way. This gnome is sprinting towards the docks. It is on the edge of this sort of wooden platform as these Warforged, looking a little bit confused with all of these big cases they're carrying of fireworks, being told where to go by these halflings. When you hear Lionel yell, "Stop!" and this gnome freezes upright. And then suddenly, soaring over your head, you hear a clang, and this gnome goes straight down in the water. Straight out.
But into the water?
Yeah. He's floating, but like
Shit,
he's
my
in. He's literally just frozen and bong. A very satisfying sort of bong sound as he goes in.
Well, now I feel extra bad for hitting him with the bell.
No, you don't.
Not really.
He's not sinking yet, but you are all able to catch up as you go. I will say that Basalt is there first, shortly followed by Jen, and then Lionel and Cinnamon about the same time, purely because they stopped to cast and throw bells.
So I've got the hook of my stick out and I'm trying to pull this gnome in towards the shore before he drowns.
Okay, I will say you can pull the gnome. You're sort of like awkwardly like trying to hook him, and you manage to get the back of his scarf, and you just drag him over to where you are, and you can easily lean down and pull him up onto the decking and lay this very soggy gnome flat. And he looks up at you, just frozen.
Well, and to be clear, I am now doing this in front of a lion, correct?
Lion paused and sat down, or what is the lion doing?
Lion's gonna walk up to the gnome. Getting very close.
You can see the eyes moving in panic, but he seems to just literally has stopped doing exactly what Lionel said.
And I'm just gonna go lick his face, and then drop my form.
And you see this gnome shudder.
Hey kid, told you to keep an eye out for yourself.
He sort of scowls at you.
I'm going to need my purse back.
Well, I can't move right now. I had to stop.
Stop! And his eyes are wandering back to see where Lionel is.
Well, it was only 6 seconds, so he should be good.
And he sort of sits upright, almost like you've released him, like the tension in a spring has gone up. And he looks at all of you.
Yeah, I was trying to get you to stop because you I think you might have grabbed my ink pots on accident, so I was trying to get those back, if you have them.
And he looks at you with utter confusion, like,
yeah,
and he opens it,
on accident.
and he hands like these glass things back to you.
Thank you so much. I'm just gonna...
That's fine. I gotta go now.
And he starts to
Well, I still need my purse.
and he looks at all of you.
In the meantime, Cinnamon has picked up her bell and is like doing this with the bell. Clang, clang, clang.
You know, kid, I think you actually owe her a prize for that shot.
I don't have any prizes.
Check in your coat.
What about my coat?
All the other prizes that you have.
And you literally, as he opens up his like waistcoat, you see these things hanging off of him, this clatter of like trinkets and things that glow, and just every manner of things in here. And he reaches to that thing he stole off the stool, and it's almost like a solid disc, and you can see a sort of pinkish crystal shard at the center.
Sorry about this.
And he just slams his hand down on it. And there's a moment where you're all standing there and you watch him as this breeze starts to take over, and there's a flash of white light. You hear people in the street yell and scream. And there's a moment where you are almost completely blinded by this bright light. And could you all make a Constitution save for me, please?
Oh.
Okay. Oh,
I know.
okay. There's a moment where everything, absolutely everything, goes white and everything stops. And there is what you think is a very strong breeze coming from somewhere, but you can't see anything around you. And Cinnamon, take hang on, let's roll the damage. Take 4 damage as you feel yourself hit something like cold but dusty ground, and your ears are ringing as if you've been so close to like an air horn or an explosion, and you just hear that like, and everyone else sounds like they're underwater, and you can hear everyone else.
It's fair for my 2 nat ones.
Like literally, that's impressive. But Jen, you sort of hit this floor hard as well. You can feel like this thud, and you feel nauseous. Your head is spinning. You can't see anything at all in front of you. And Basalt, again, you feel tired, as if you're just waking up. And it's like your eyes are heavy, and you can taste dirt in your mouth, like dust and debris, and it makes you feel like you can feel it in your throat, you can feel it over your face. It's probably quite gritty. And Lionel, if you could do a superhero landing, you can, because on a 20 you land in this almost white space, and it's almost like you fall on your feet, like you drift down and land very slowly and elegantly. And you can see in front of you like this stone platform, this sandy sort of colored stone platform. You're still surrounded by white, but ahead of you looks to be a set of boulders or like a cave or something like that, but it shouldn't lead anywhere because you're almost on this hovering disc in the middle of nowhere. It almost looks like clouds are starting to shift either side of you. And you can see these other three people. You have your inkwells, by the way, but you can see these other three people with you that have sort of fallen. They haven't landed like you have. And the rest of you can start to come around.
I slowly
Fudge.
reach for my journal. This is weird.
Ow.
Oh.
But we're the only 4 people around.
You can see the most of, I'd say, life is the boulders in front of you. You can see what looks like plants growing out of them, as if they've been there a while, like trees have started to break through branches, and it grows up almost into a slight archway just above this sort of cave-like structure.
Okay, and there's no signs of the gnome. The gnome is gone.
Can you roll a perception check, please?
Sure.
Okay. On a 15, on one of the branches by the entrance, you can see that blue scarf where it's been caught, almost like maybe he's been running fast to get in there and it's just been caught out. And you can see not tracks, not like steady footprints, what looks like skidding towards this cave.
How is everyone else feeling?
Well, I
My
felt
head
better.
hurts.
Ugh, ugh.
I feel like I got hit by a bell.
The irony.
Oh, new people. I'm Cinnamon. What's your name? She does the whole like extend her hand out really far again.
Hi, I'm Jen.
Hi, Jen.
Lionel, nice to meet you.
Hi, Lionel. Nice to meet you.
I'm Basil. Jen, you were the lion earlier, correct?
Yeah, sorry, it seemed like the thing to do.
You
That
can
one worked out
become a
quite well.
lion?
Yeah. Or a tiger, even a bear.
That's so
Pretty cool for a halfling to become a bear, isn't it? Boy, have I scared the crap out of people with that.
Can you get us out of this white place?
Can I?
Look, I think that gnome who was stealing from us earlier, I think he's also been here, based on the scarf and the footprints.
Oh, we
And-
should follow him.
Yeah, he still owes you a prize because that was a really good shot.
I'm so mad at him. I'm going to hit him over the head again with that bell.
Alice, is that also the only way out that we see?
Yeah, I mean, there's the cave entrance, and then you're on a flat disc if you want to go look over the edge.
I guess that's a good point. I have not yet looked over the edge. Let me go look over the edge.
Perception check, please.
Yes, of course. That's what I like to do, is look over the edge. Well, there we go.
You sort of, how are you just leaning over, or are you like down on your knees to look, or how are you?
Yes, with a painful grunt, like when I wake up in the morning, Basil gets down and like bends down and looks over the edge, laying down.
Yeah, you sort of look down, maybe like leaning on your staff as you look, and it's, for a moment, it looks like this whiteness is just clouds drifting, and the only real hint you get at that is that it's moving. And you sort of squint for a bit, and you focus on something that looks way, way down. And you see a platform. You can see Cinnamon, Jen, Lionel, and yourself leaning over, looking over the edge.
So Basil gets back up, kind of like just sits down with his legs out and looks at everyone in concern and just says, all right, so we're dealing with something magical. And I don't think going down is an option.
I wasn't going to jump off the cliff as my first choice.
I honestly did feel like I needed to say that out loud.
I'm assuming that the rest of us don't know what Basil has seen
Oh,
yet.
right. So here's the situation. It's a very unusual, I don't know if it's an illusion or if it's some sort of magical effect, but if you look down, it would be like we're looking on ourselves from above. And I imagine that could continue infinitely, probably.
Well, one way to find out, and I take a spare quill from my bag and I just drop it over the edge.
Okay. You watch this quill fall, drift, sort of. Every now and then you see it disappear through one of the clouds and it appears the other side. And as is everyone looking over the edge, or who is looking over the edge?
Looking over the edge.
Everyone. Okay.
I'm going to look up now.
You're gonna look up. Okay. You're all looking over the edge, and as you look up, you see this quill drift down and land just beside Lionel again. So Lionel, you can see it.
Oh, there it is. Oh. Nifty.
I guess that
does not
answers
seem-
that.
So maybe at the cave entrance then.
Yeah, that way.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Start walking.
Are you all approaching this stealthily, or are you strolling in confidently?
Yes.
Everyone says yes.
Limping without concern towards the door.
Clanking my way towards the.
Yeah, oh, that's I forget. I always forget you're in armor. It's the best thing.
Put a little caution into this, I think.
Okay, so you roll a stealth for me then, please.
Can I get a chance to cast guidance on myself?
Yeah, I'd say so before you walk in. You're not running away from anything. You think you're quiet. You think you're quiet.
I might be a little drunk.
You have that sort of, as you sort of tiptoe over the top towards this cave entrance as the others stroll in. And what is the running line order? Who would go first?
I can go first.
Okay.
I'm not squishy at all.
We'll go second unless somebody else would prefer to go second.
Well, I'm obviously plowing straight ahead, so I guess I'll be third. Because
I'll be
I
in the
think
back
I'm
then.
stealthy.
Okay. You start to move through this cave entrance. And there's a moment where every now and then you think you can hear running water, but you don't see any water anywhere that seems to be dripping from the roof or on the ground. And as you walk into this cave, in all the cracks of the rocks, this doesn't look like it's been dug out. This looks like this has been stacked together. And you can see little vines sort of growing out of the cracks with these little white flowers with these white petals. And as you walk closer and closer to them, they open and they light up, almost leading the way for you, like security lights, as you go down, and you definitely notice the temperature drop as you're going deeper and deeper down into this tunnel. Your feet sort of scuff against dirt, and it kicks up a little bit of residue, but not much. And the deeper you go into this tunnel, the more and more flowers you see. They start to change color. And within the cracks in the rock, you see a soft blue glow. And the ceiling gets higher and higher until it looks completely black with how dark this is. Like a midnight blue almost. And it's dotted, which at first looks like stars, but it's gold in color. And another reason it looks like stars is because it seems to almost form constellations rather than just being sporadic or random. And soon your feet hit a different sort of surface as the tunnel starts to widen out a bit. Mixed in with the dirt, it looks to be very old, but this huge mosaic tiled floor, very colorful, and 3 dragons, huge, in a circle, tail to nose all the way round, creating a perfect sphere. Would you like to do anything in this room?
Do I recognize the constellations, or are they just something that is not in the natural night sky?
You could roll a history check for me, please, if you would like.
I wouldn't like to, but I will.
You think they're very pretty.
I'm going to stand right in the middle of the circle of the 3 dragons, and I'm going to look around and see if anything happens.
Okay. Are you looking to see if
I'm gonna
anything happens in the room, or are you doing like to see if you know what this is?
See if I know what this is, and if there is, you know how like sometimes if you stand in a certain area, things just kind of line up. So I'm gonna look around and see if I see any of that.
Okay.
Like look up at the constellations, things like that.
Okay, roll me a history and a perception.
I'm not
Check,
good at any of
please.
those things. Okay, here's the history, and here's the perception.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
History-wise, you sort of look up, and then you look to the floor, and it rings a bell a little bit, but, you know, it's not really your thing. But I will say what you do notice is in these huge patterns of the dragons, their eyes glow very softly, each a different color.
What colors, Alice?
There is a blue, a pink, and a gold. And they match to what color the dragons are.
I'll share that information with the rest of the party. These, the eyeballs, they're glowing.
Does that symbol on the ground as a whole mean anything to me?
You roll a history, or if there's something else you think you might know.
I think I'm good enough at history, though. We'll be fine. Okay. Can I guide myself?
Absolutely.
Cool. So that, oh man, guys.
These rolls
not
tonight.
gonna help.
It is a 10 though. It is a 10 though, to be fair. That's actually, you can sort of crouch on the floor, that clanking of your armor as you go down. And you sort of look over these tiles. And half of them you can tell are made of shell, but all different colored shell and precious stone. And you're not too sure on the details, but you recognize the 3 dragons from an old story. One that you would have studied, especially with all your note-taking, of the dragon Kyber Siberys, and Eberron. But that is all you remember at this time.
And just say the names out loud as I point to the dragons.
That does make sense. So Alice, Basil's going to walk up to the center here and also just kind of like take a look around. Would you feel like this is still a history roll? Is this maybe an investigation to look for connections between these things? What do you think?
When you say connections, what do you mean?
Well, we've got a sky full of constellation stuff, and we've got 3 dragons on the ground, and just looking for any significant patterns or things that maybe he picked up during schooling, things like that.
Okay, I'll let you roll either, whichever you would prefer.
Well, it's okay if you want me to roll history. The investigation is a good skill. Either way, I intend to use my advantage on this.
Go for it.
Oh, well. That's what happens when you use your advantage.
You remember there's a mixture of school, a mixture of... It's the sort of tales that being a member of the sort of household you're in, you should know. It's that kind of feel. You know of the 3 dragons and how they created this world, and the stars above that glimmer gold seem to... They follow a path, a very sort of direct path, almost a circular one. And you know that it represents the ring of Siberys. This golden dragon that was destroyed at the beginning of time, and that powers and gives magic to all of Eberron.
So Basil says, Lionel, if you hadn't said something first, I wouldn't have gotten a connection, but I believe this is a depiction of the Ring of Siberys.
What's that?
Never heard of it.
Well, that's fair. It's just the history of the world and why we have magic. But again, that's one interpretation. There could be many stories, and I'm not really that familiar with it myself, but that's my best guess.
You may have said this already, Alice, but what dragon corresponds to what color? You said Siberys is gold.
Siberys is gold.
Uh-huh.
That's the main one you need to know.
Okay.
Eberron was the sort of the more pinkish ones. It's almost like a purpley pink tone. And then Kyber was a very dark blue, almost black in color. More like a midnight sky. It's just so dark it can be confused.
So are you saying we're at the beginning of the universe?
I don't think that's what I was trying to say, but
Oh.
I don't really know where we are, so
So it could be.
yes, and that's very frightening.
Cool.
Cinnamon remembers that this gnome smashed a pink crystal, so she's gonna go and investigate this pink dragon and see if there's anything amiss with this
Yep.
pink one.
Roll me a perception or investigation check, please.
All right, perception it is. Oh my gosh!
Oh, these rolls for you today. You you start to sort of walk over towards this and trip, sending your bell to the other side of the room.
I think I like
And
poke
there's that.
myself in the eye or something.
There's that clang as your bell hits, and as you fall to the floor, there's a shudder in the ground, and all of you feel it shake as this mosaic starts to move, and almost like a platform breaks away and starts to descend into darkness. And I think that is where we will take our quick 5-minute break. So everyone, go get a drink, stretch your legs, tell your pets you love them, and we'll be back in a moment. Bye. Oh, hi. as you all descend down on this platform, you can hear that crunch of stone and that as it's starting to motion downwards, down into this darkness. And you just see rock around you, like plain rock, and you seem to be going down for quite a while. Seems like quite a descent, as you can see what looks to be like at the end light leaking through, a very soft light, nothing too bright, until there's a moment where you hear that and you will feel that wobble as it comes to a standstill as you're in a new chamber. And you stand in this huge domed area with stalactites and stalagmites sort of reaching from the ground and dropping from the ceiling, and you can see that water now. You can see these sort of glowing blue veins that run through the ceiling. And it seems to sort of widen here and then narrow again towards this tunnel. It seems to go up a little bit this time.
I didn't expect that to happen.
Anybody remember what level we parked on?
Well,
I hope I didn't cause that by tripping.
Doubt it.
And so, oh, go ahead.
I'll head forward. Actually, is there any light?
Are you doing this stealthily, or are you just walking?
Cautiously. I'm not sure I'd say stealthily, but
As in, would you like to roll a stealth, or would you like to roll a perception?
I'd prefer to roll a perception. I'm
You may roll a perception.
less concerned about.
The path looks clear.
Is it light enough to see?
Oh yes, it's a very soft light. It's almost a yellow light. It's not bright. It's not like sunlight. You're pretty sure it's coming from it's almost like a blue, dull light coming from the ceiling.
Yeah, I'll keep moving because I haven't seen anything yet.
Okay. You stroll on. What are the rest of you doing?
I got a little freaked out that my trip and clang of the bell probably caused all of this, so I'm gonna sneak behind him.
Okay, roll a stealth check, please. You become one with the shadows as you sort of manage to both weave in between the stalagmites and stalactites, but also where the blue light doesn't shine, there's like these pockets of darkness that you can sort of almost disappear into. What about Basalt and Lionel?
So I'm just gonna continue forward with the rest of the group, and I'm gonna try to listen out for any extra breathing or any other sounds besides us like traversing.
Okay, so could you roll a perception check, please?
I can. That's a good one.
Okay. Lionel, you start to move forwards, and you're not sure if it's because you're used to your own clanking sound that you're more aware of other clanking sounds, but you can hear like a coming from somewhere above, and you can see these huge holes sort of in the ceiling, and what looks like two yellow eyes blink back at you as you look directly up into them.
Guys, there's something in the ceiling.
I look up.
yes, same.
See these perfectly round spheres, almost like bulbs, and they blink. And when they blink, you hear ka-ch, ka-ch.
That's weird.
are those eyeballs?
As you say that, two sort of long limbs come out, but they seem to be made of metal. And you can see at the joints where they bend. And then another two limbs, and another two, and another two, almost like a spider as it starts to pull itself out. As it blinks at you a few times. And you see these tiny little eyes dart around. And then you see more sort of power up. You hear that doof, doof, as they start projecting these lights. And I do need you all to roll initiative as you have interrupted this creature.
That's just not natural.
Our initiative is low. It's just because we were watching each of those eyes power on.
Lionel!
Oh man, my rolls just have been horrible.
Well, if anybody in chat feels like they need to help Faye with rolls, we could always use some advantages for things like this.
My initiative roll isn't coming up for some reason.
Roll20 does do that sometimes, so just give it a second. So not try rolling again. It might just not have
Oh, sorry.
registered it.
Well, it had the little GUI came up asking. Hey!
That 20. There we go. Okay. Let's see where this. I'll roll it on here because that seems to be. Okay. You all stand and look at this creature as it sort of starts, as it comes out, and you can see this is almost fully robotic in all the limbs and mechanical. And I will say, especially Basalt working with houses, you can spot a House Cannith design out of anywhere. The same people who designed and made the Warforged. This looks like an old Sentry mechanical spider as it starts to scurry out and it lands in front of all of you. And if it could take a breath, you see it rise and fall as it adjusts on its legs. And it starts this very bizarre sort of mechanical hiss towards you as it looks like it's about to leap. Jen, what would you like to do?
I would like to say, oh crap, that's not natural, and cast Entangle.
For it.
Which is a DC 12 strength check.
Strength check. Let's roll. What was it, sorry?
Oh, 12.
12. So I just beat it. You sort of hello raiders. You move this towards the spider. How would you have tried to do this? Would you have just cast it as a spell, or what would you have done?
I would be backing up saying, I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't like you. You wrap up. You wrap up.
Almost as you do that, you see its limbs start to reach up, and you can hear that chung 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 as it starts to hit the floor with this metal, getting faster and faster. It is Lionel's turn. Lionel, you can see this huge mechanical Cannith spider currently focusing on Jen as he's trying to back up.
Oh. Are you a good spider or a bad spider?
At that, you can see the head spin 180 degrees and all these lights flicker on it as it bathes you in this white light.
Huh.
I live in the forest, they're all bad.
Okay. And I snap my fingers and cast Toll the Dead on the spider.
Right, okay.
It's a wisdom save. Now that I think about it, spiders are probably wise, but it's fine.
Wisdom save.
Makes it.
You click your fingers And as you do, you notice all the eyes shift on different sort of spheres moving around and focus on your fingers. And one of these bulbs, as it sort of glows and shimmers, comes out on a long, sort of almost snake-like tendril as it watches around your fingers. And it is the creature's turn. And it is going to lash out towards Lionel now that it has attracted Lionel. Does an 18 hit?
Just hits, yeah.
Yeah. As it reaches out, it sort of lashes with this thing at your hand. And does 6 damage, and it's almost like a sting, and it's more that it lashes out and it wraps itself around your hand as you clicked your fingers, and you can feel it tense before it lets you go, and you can feel almost like a burn, not like an acid burn or anything like that, but it feels like the metal started to heat up as it let it go. Basalt, it is your turn, as you've seen this creature, and it is now starting to scurry towards Lionel.
All right, well, this is clearly an attacking creature at this point. So Basil's pulled his sleeves up a little bit, and he says, all right, this is a House Cannith construct. Let's just get rid of it. And his hands go, and he lights them on fire. And then he throws a firebolt at the creature. And I will do a firebolt roll.
Thank you. Meets it beats.
So good? We're hitting it?
Yep, you're all good. You're hitting it.
Okay. 5 fire damage.
Okay. You sort of, you throw this fire towards it, and you can hear a screech, which is bizarre. You don't think it's because this creature can't scream. You actually think it's some of the cogs and the wiring and the things that are going in there is sort of giving it more of a crunchy sound. You see it starts to glow an orange-red color from the heat that you have thrown towards it. And it stops pursuing Lionel and has its legs retracted a little bit. Cinnamon, it is your go.
How far away is this creature from Lionel?
It's just backed up, but it's about 10 feet away.
Not 5 feet. Oh, can't do my sneak attack. All right. I would like to, and you can tell me if this may or may not give me advantage. I kind of want to Legolas this spider and take a running leap and just jump onto its back.
Hey, you describe it well enough and I'll let you have an advantage. That's how I do it. Make it look cool.
All right, sounds good. So running leap, flippy in the air, landing on the creature's back. What would I roll?
You would roll an acrobatics if you're Legolasing it.
All right, acrobatics it is.
20, because it's advantage.
Yes.
And then attack, please.
All right.
I will also let that be with advantage as you're landing on its back.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna do the flip, land on its back, take my rapier, and just go straight down into the spider. And so that is my rapier.
Meets it beats, 13.
All right. Okay. So then I will roll this 1d8, I think. Oh, no, hold on.
Oh, no, you just click the word rapier underneath on the thing, and it rolls it for you.
Oh, got it. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay. So that's that, and I'm also going to do a sneak attack damage, so that's 2d6 in addition. So nope, that's just telling you that I have a sneak attack. Hold on. Sorry.
It's all right. No, it's all right. You roll it like this. Hang on, I'll put it in Zoom chat for you. So you press roll like that. You just type that into roll 20 and it comes up. Yeah. Woof.
Nice.
Ooh, all right.
Yeah, describe it for me how you are attacking this as you've done the leap onto this.
Yes, so I basically take my rapier and I'm just going straight down and then pulling it towards me.
Yeah, as you sort of jump onto this thing, for a moment you're like, ow, 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 because it's just been heated up, and you manage to find purchase on two of the legs as you plunge this rapier down, start dragging it, and you can hear a bizarre whir and as all of these like wires and the cogs start to be dragged down the side, as it's almost like a screech, but it starts to flail its legs wildly with you on the back of it. Jen, it is your turn.
Well, inspired by that, I am gonna launch ahead and attack with my scimitar.
Fabulous. Does not hit. You sort of flourish the scimitar as you sort of swing it round and get it ready, and this leg comes round and almost knocks it out of your hand. You still manage to keep hold of it, but it throws it off to the side. It is Lionel's turn, and you've just seen Cinnamon jump on the back, almost distracting it away from you.
Well, that's guiding bolt straight into one of its eyes. I'll try to aim for the eye that actually like grabbed my hand.
Yes.
And I'll guiding bolt it with. Did it roll? It did not.
What's the damage? There we go. 13.
Smash.
Yes, and hits.
All right, and next attack on it has advantage.
Hmm?
Next attack on it has advantage.
Advantage. Fab. Yeah, you sort of had described what does Lionel do to sort of cast this? What does it look like when he casts this guiding bolt?
So he sort of dips two of his fingers into one of the inkwells and just like shoots them forward, and this black energy comes straight from his fingers and goes straight into the eye socket that went for him, and it like sort of affects through the rest of the body.
Yeah, you can see it sort of like start to spread almost, well, like ink, literally like oil, as it starts to seep over this creature. It starts to ride up. Cinnamon, I need you to make either an acrobatics or an athletics check to hold on as it is trying to throw you off, but also because Lionel has just cast this, it's rearing up on two of its main legs.
Acrobatics it is.
Yeah. You are hooked in, and you hold on to your rapier as you do. It is the creature's turn, and it tries to lash out with one of its legs back at you, Cinnamon. It gets a nat 1. So as it sort of, it pulls up its leg and it tries to jab straight towards you, Cinnamon. And as you do, you've fallen back, you hold onto your rapier, and in that sort of break of metal you make, it jabs straight into some of its circuits, and you see it start to shake and vibrate as it does so, starting to whir. And Lionel and Jen, you can see from where you are, the lights of the eyes are starting to flash and go all over the place. Basalt, what are you doing?
Okay, so I just want to make sure I get the correct ruling on this according to Alice. So if I do an attack that does not require an attack roll, it requires a saving throw, do I save that advantage for Cinnamon when she goes to stab this thing again?
I will allow it. Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, that does affect what I want to do. I do want to save that for later. So I will do a level 1 burning hands at this thing, and yeah, I'm probably not going to melt anybody else. That doesn't sound like something that would happen. I'm just going to be projecting a large cone of fire in the direction of the mechanical spider.
It's reared up right now, so if anything, Cinnamon is protected by the fact it's been hit. That is a miss, I'm afraid.
It's a DC.
I do half damage.
It's a dex save.
Oh, it's a dex save. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Another nat 1. Another nat 1. So you sort of throw this cone of fire, and Cinnamon, you sort of duck down as you do, and you can see the flames coming either side of you as the spider starts to heat up. And as you do, Basalt, how do you destroy this creature?
With surprise, because he was expecting this to be part of like a complicated setup maneuver, but he just kind of like blasts a big cone of fire, and control is not really Basil's strong suit, especially when it comes to actually doing magic. So he's just shot a large cone of fire at this creature, and now looks slightly concerned by the fact that he may have taken that overboard.
And as you do, this creature sort of, you can feel, particularly you, Cinnamon, the heat coming from this thing as you have to drop off, as you can see the front of the legs start to melt away. With the combination of both Lionel's sort of this dark ink, this ooze dripping off it, mixing with the flame, it almost literally becomes that like an oil, and this flame catches and it starts to melt and crumple. It runs around a little bit before that, as it sort of halts and comes to a crashing stop.
That did it.
Whew.
Nice.
Well done. That was not a spider.
It's kind of a spider.
That was not a spider.
I'm gonna dismount the spider.
I don't like spiders, and I definitely don't like that thing.
Cinnamon, you didn't get burnt, did you?
No, it was a really big spider. Very good control.
Thank you.
A cool jump there.
Thank you. It was the first time I've ever tried it.
Oh, wow.
I don't really ride a lot of spiders.
I've tried. All right.
So, Lionel, are you all right?
Nah. Spider. Big spider. Nah. And he just goes and starts writing frantically.
So, Bissell, you said this was a creation of what was
House
it?
Cannith. Yes, House Cannith. They're known for their artificery.
I wonder why it's down here.
Well, frankly, they made a lot of these things and left them sort of everywhere.
That was inconvenient.
It would be nice to know exactly where we are as well.
Maybe we should keep going?
I don't really think we have any other choices, do we?
Yeah. The sign on the elevator, it says out of service, so.
That's a good point.
Forward. I was so good at this last time, I'm just going to do it again.
It's fair, yeah.
You start to stride forward, and this tunnel goes up a little bit now. It seems to be getting a little bit warmer, and you can smell like wood smoke, like a fire burning in a hearth. And would anyone like to make a perception check?
Sure.
I'm very interested in perceiving if there's any signs of this gnome that we had before. But I'm not going to do it.
Oh no. You have a +6. Oh my god.
I can technically.
If anything, for Lionel, if anything, the wood smoke is sort of taking over your other senses, and it's kind of distracting. And also, you're buried in your journal. You're recording all of these amazing things around you and sketching out this weird spider you just saw. And there, I will say that Basalt still doesn't see a lot. Maybe is watching Lionel sort of do all the doodles and look around. But the other two, you hear a bit of a clatter, a clash of glass, a clash of wood, sort of lots of different things, as if things are being moved around and shifted. And for a moment you hear that gnome's voice. What do you expect me to do? And then this almost aged voice, this crackly voice, like an older woman maybe, and what sounds like a rattle from somewhere, as you can come up to the end of this tunnel. And it opens up into this huge room, this cave, which as you look up this huge sort of big windows of glass, almost like in a honeycomb texture with gold running through the edges. And you can see that whiteness, that cloudy sky outside, and you can see different platforms sort of hovering through the air. And you can see that gnome stood by what looks like table upon table, all of these different sort of benches, these wooden benches and trinkets hanging from the ceiling. Thank you for those advantages, Sphinx. And on all of these different multicolored threads, these bizarre things hang from the ceiling. Some look like glass ornaments, some look like little wooden trinkets. There's all manner of things. There's a sock tied to one of them. There's these bizarre different items that are almost like wind chimes covering the ceiling and sort of hanging quite low. Not low enough to touch the top of the gnome. But if Lionel and Bassett were to walk in, maybe it'd be just that much above your head. And stood with one arm on her hip and a staff in one hand, this fairly hunched over, sort of elderly orc is talking to this gnome. She is fairly short for an orc, actually. She doesn't actually seem to be that tall, but you're not too sure if it's because she's hunched over constantly leaning on this staff that looks like a bizarre twisted wood, maybe willow, with a glass white orb at the top. You can see long robes, which it looks like lots of shredded bits of material all down her arms, over her shoulders, a huge belt of material around her middle. Lots of beads, lots of things that are hanging from this silver hair. And these piercings all the way up this one ear with these brightly colored beads that seem to glow softly and sing a tune at the same time. And wrapped around the top of her staff are the dried out sort of husks of poppies, when they almost form that bizarre rattle of the seeds on the inside. And there's so many. There look to be about 15 tied to this stick, and she's waving this stick angrily at this gnome, who is holding out this disc you saw him use. And you can see them arguing. It's not like an angry argument. It's almost more of a, again, you did it again kind of sound. And you can hear her sort of shuffle around. She sort of moves over to one of the benches with all these glasses, different shapes. They're all sort of hovering midair, lots of different multicolored liquids within. And she's just like,
well, as long as you didn't bring anything else in here last time.
And you could see this gnome go and sit on a stool rather grumpily, take the disc, he goes,
well, it's useless anyway,
and just throws it and skids it across the room.
So, Alice, real quick DM question. What language are they speaking?
They're speaking common. They seem to each other.
Cinnamon sees new people and immediately wants to say hi. So she very boldly strides into the middle of the two of them, probably like throws the gnome a dirty look, and kind of mutters under her breath like, still owe us that purse, and says, hello, my name's Cinnamon. What's your name?
You see this gnome almost fall off of his stool. You get the impression he didn't know you were here, as he sort of almost staggers back, falling over it. And this old woman turns with her orcish over, sort of heavy brow, and looks at you as if she's like trying to focus you. Just, hang on. And she
I like your earrings.
Patting herself down and pulls out a pair of glasses. No. And each time she knows, she knocks down another lens, and then she peers over at you. What are you doing here? Did you do this again? I keep telling him. And as this gnome sort of pulls his hood up, almost as if he's trying to hide from this orc. He's like, hello, and who are you?
My name's Cinnamon.
Oh, you're a handshaker, are you? Okay. And she sort of takes your hand, and you feel quite a firm grip, actually, for how old this woman is. You feel very weathered hands. Well, I suppose at least he only brought one by accident this time.
Oh, no, my friends are here too. This is Basalt and Jen and Lionel. And she does the kind of like, come on.
Yes, it's nice to meet you.
And she looks over at the gnome and is like, what have I told you? Like, as if he just sort of shrugs and starts pulling his and you can see him going to decant everything out of his waistcoat over one of these other tables. And she looks at you like, I'm so sorry. He's out of control, a wild child. I don't really know what to do with him, if I'm honest. But desperate times call for desperate men. Can I get you a drink? Any of you?
Oh, yes, I love tea.
Oh, good, because that's all I have.
I was going to ask for a beer, but I guess you don't have any.
And she shakes her little stick at you. She's like, no, it dulls the mind. And she shakes her stick in your face. You hear that rattle of the poppy seeds.
An oolong tea would be great.
That I can do, a true gentleman. She starts to shuffle over. And it is a proper shuffle. It's like 1 foot to the other. If anyone knows Augra from the Dark Crystal, it's a proper shuffle. It's more of a waddle than anything else as she moves. And you see her sort of start to wave her hand about, and water starts to form in the air and starts to boil in its place. And she looks over at the gnome and is like, get the teacups, make yourself useful, and try not to break them. And you can see this gnome with his hands in his pockets, like, and heads over to what looks like a pile of teacups. They're not laid out. It's a literal box of just odd teacups. Nothing matches. And he starts almost very carefully picking the correct ones out. And she looks over at all of you, wondering.
Alice, did I ever get my purse back from the gnome the first time?
No.
I didn't think so. Basil is going to go up to the gnome where he is leaning over the teacups. Listen, I really would like that purse back. I'm not sure what else is going on here, but it seems like you should probably do that.
Fine. And he sort of reaches into his pocket and holds out your purse. He's like, you followed me here.
Yes, that wasn't exactly on purpose.
I suppose you want your friends' stuff back as well.
I'm sure that he would like you to go give that to him, yes. Can I give you a hand of these teacups?
Yeah. Why are you being so nice?
I have my purse back, and I have no idea whatsoever where we are. So, no matter what, it seems like a good idea.
Oh, okay. Just go with it.
And he sort of starts handing these teacups to you. Some of them have chips in, some of them, they're all different colors, some of them different sizes, some of different handles. They're all bizarre. But he does walk, sort of guide you over to the area where they are. And you can see her watching both of you, sort of like through the glasses, as she swirls her hand and starts to, as the mugs go down, you can see leaves being put in these little strainers, and almost as a flick of her finger, a perfect amount of this boiling water goes in to this tea and just hovers over the strainer as if it's soaking in these leaves before dropping into the cup. He said, "There we go. I had a table, but we don't normally have visitors. I mean, the last time he did this was, what, 3 years ago? I think it was 3 years ago. I'll get a table." And she does. She gets her staff, slams it down on one of the desks, and just, and this whole clatter of glass just falls and shatters on the ground. So, I don't have chairs, I'm afraid.
We'll make do.
Yes, please pour yourself up and take a cup. I'm not a waitress, so you can take your own.
This is the first time I've had tea this way, but thank you.
It's the only way to have tea, dear.
Yes, well, thank you for the tea, and thank you, I think, for welcoming us into your home?
Humble abode, yes.
Yes, I have just a few questions about that if you're receptive to them.
Of course, go ahead. I don't get to talk to many people other than him, and he's getting quite boring. And you can see, again, this gnome is squinting at him as he's walking over with a bowl of sugar and just bang, puts it down on the table.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, any questions can be answered, and hopefully you can do me a favor in return.
Okay, so 1, where are we? 2, was that your pet spider? 3, did it need to be killed, or did we just kill your pet spider? 4,
Did another one get in?
Shh, shh.
It took a broom and a half last time to get it out.
4, how many pet spiders do you have?
No pet spiders, but every now and then they get in.
Interesting.
And 5, how do we get back to the festival?
If I'm honest, did you come here via him? I'm assuming you did.
Yes.
Okay, well, it takes a lot of my energy to actually get people back, especially all 4 of you. Actually, I'm, as you can tell, I'm not in my best years. I'm not as nimble and enthusiastic as I used to be. She sort of wiggles in place a little bit and rattles her staff again.
You don't look a day over 35.
No, and she's just like, it sort of like pushes you, like, you can stay. I like her. As she looks over at the gnome, and you can see these 2 teeth that sort of like hang over her upper lip as she sort of smiles and croons at you. I'm afraid he took that because he believed there was a Siberys shard in it. And it's a fake. They're not just going to sell them willy-nilly in Sharn, you know. But yes, I'm looking for some of the shards because there seems to be some form of instability. But I'm sure you've noticed you're all young, sprightly, coherent.
Well, the only instability we noticed was in that rock that dropped us down a few 100 feet back there.
Oh, you mean the elevator?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They go up and down.
Well, could use a little grease.
Well, to be fair, not many people use it, and my back hurts, and, you know, it's not quite as good as it used to be. So I don't go around oiling these things too often.
Madam, first of all, what's your name?
Oh, God, I'm Maria. Hello.
Hi.
I know I had a second name at some point, but it seems to have left me.
What's his name? The gnome.
Oh, he didn't introduce him. How rude of you! You steal from them and don't introduce. His name is Lyris.
Well, hello, Lyris.
He's okay. He's a Zill gnome, so, you know, it's in the nature.
Let's say we didn't notice any instabilities. What instabilities are you talking about?
Oh, they may not have hit Sean yet then. The tremors, the earthquakes. Oh. Well, it seems someone has been messing with the balance, and I should probably sort it out. It is my job, but I can't leave here at the moment, you see.
Why not?
I'm stuck here. There's someone's put a barrier or something up. I don't rightly know.
Well, how about we do this? If we help you set this balance back to being balanced, can you send us back?
She sort of pauses, takes the spoon of sugar out of Lionel's hand and starts stirring her tea.
I don't mean to volunteer,
I've got
everybody.
You would be more reliable than you can take him with you, and you can, again. He's looking. He's like,
Look, I'm a professional, okay? I do my own burglaring, stealing, everything, okay? I steal a lot of stuff.
he's like the wrong stuff, and she sort of like again shakes her staff at him. I have the balance could be maintained in the planar observatory. Oh, and you, and she points back at Lionel again. Welcome to the ethereal plane. I remember that was your number one question.
Oh, I've never been to the ethereal plane. Here we go.
Oh, it's okay. Not many people do. You can consider yourself lucky. And she puts it, I'm currently trying to find the location of the planar observatory. But it moves, you see, and half the people don't even believe it exists. But it'll give me a bit of information as to what is going on with the stars, you see, and the Siberys ring. And I have an idea of how to find it, but as you can, I'm not exactly mobile, and the people who have the information know my face. So it would be very helpful if all of you could, do something about it. Just,
I don't want to volunteer everybody else, but I'd like to go home. So sign me up. I'm very mobile.
Well, you again, she points over at Lionel. Are you taking notes?
Yes, lots of notes.
Do you do that often? Is that a thing you do?
All the time. That's all I do, really.
Would you like a job?
Can I keep taking notes?
That's literally what I want to pay you to do.
Yes, absolutely.
You will have to stay here, though. I can send you back every now and then, but like once a week. It's a tiring thing.
I get to stay on the ethereal plane?
Yes, I can set up a room and everything. As I said,
Yes.
though, one extra condition, you may take as many notes as possible, but occasionally if one of the spiders comes in, you just take the broom and you jab them back in the hole.
I'm good with brooms as well as notes, so we're good. Yes.
No, fantastic. And she sort of like claps her hands together, and you can hear a clang of all these different rings that sort of clatter together on her hands. And she turns and looks to Jen. What do you do?
I've got a marketplace party to get back to.
Oh, you're a party animal, are you?
Sometimes I see what you did there. That was good.
I don't get it.
I'm an animal sometimes.
You should probably get that checked. Otherwise, I will say I do need a little bit of help. So I may have made some notes on the observatory on how to find it and how to of its location, how to track it, what I need. The only thing I will say is I wrote it around 600 years ago, and my memory is not so good, and I would like it back. And it no, where did I leave it? What are their names again? I know they're in that that big city, the one you said you're from. Shan?
Yeah.
Yes. So, has anyone heard of the House Fialin?
That guy has.
Right, well, you'll probably know they're not the sort of people to be trifled with, but they have my journal. And based on what you'll know about the House of Fialin, it's probably one of the most powerful households of the Dragon Marked. They are basically the house of sneaking, getting things dealt with. If someone messes with them, they usually disappear. It's that sort of household, and what you also know, it is made up mostly of changelings. And she sort of looks over to you and you see a stream of hot water follow her finger and start refilling your tea. Like, so I need to well, they have my diary, my journal with all the details in, and she looks over to Lionel like, I'll show you my other ones later. But otherwise, I would like it back, or at least for you to use the information within it.
Would this involve stealing?
Oh, absolutely.
Why don't you send that guy? He's very good at it.
You would think, but he's come back with the wrong thing and additional people.
Fair.
And no offense, I didn't invite you.
I like stealing things.
I knew I liked you. Okay. But know that stealing is wrong, but not in this instant. It's for the greater good. But in general, stealing is wrong.
Sure. Stealing is wrong.
I saw that, wrong. And I don't think that should accompany that phrase. Do you know what that means?
Oh, it's just the thing that my parents always said, stealing is wrong.
You have interesting parents. Right. Okay. So, what I will do is, I will send you all back, apart from you. And she points at Lionel again, and she fills up his tea. I'll send you all back. You two in particular, I will send to my friend. He'll kit you out and give you a little bit of a rundown as to what's actually going on here. He can be a little grumpy. I will say that now. And he does fancy himself a little bit, but just ignore that. Just, tell him I sent you. It's fine. You want to get back to a party, I believe. Would you like to go back before all of this happened or after?
Wait. I don't get it.
Well, would you like to go back to the point where you were so rudely interrupted? Or would you like to go back now? Because at the moment we're pretty stagnant in time.
I want to go back now. I still don't understand.
Oh, it's okay. You don't have to. So. And she pauses.
Okay, I think I'm getting the idea. Maybe before I turned into a lion and scared the shit out of everybody.
You did what?
I turned into a lion. And I ran through the marketplace after your buddy here.
And
But,
she looks back at this gnome who just shrugs.
I might have knocked a few stalls over, so maybe before that. Just a little.
I warn you, you won't remember anything of this if you do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay then. And she sort of like, she takes your hand and puts like a gold coin in it and goes, so you can have a beer when you get there. Looks over to Basalt and Cinnamon. Right, we're gonna need something to stay in contact. And she pulls up her hands with these many ringed fingers and holds her hands out and goes, which one would you like? And what sort of ring do each of you pull off?
All right. I am going to take I'm going to take one that has like a very small red stone on it.
Okay. And you can take this sort of very almost brassy looking, but also gold inlaid with these two dragons with their claws holding this ruby at the center as she sort of slip it onto your finger.
And Basil's going to take kind of like a faceted crystal piece that looks like it's unadorned other than just being a round crystal ring.
Yeah, it's almost completely clear. It's almost like rough crystal before it is put through the purification process. And it's, you notice as both of you put these rings on, they suddenly seem to fix and mold themselves to your fingers. If you need to get in contact, if I'm not busy, I'll pick up. But you should also be able to contact each other as well. These are kind of like sending stones, but not quite. But through planes, they have very bad signal on normal planes, but in between them, they're not too bad.
It's very strange.
Testing.
I suppose it may. And you can see there's Cinnamon, you hear like Basil's voice echo from this ring very softly, and you see all of her rings sort of light up slightly, and Basil, you hear testing, run through. She's like, okay, calm down, I'm gonna have to take some of these off.
Ooh.
Need to finally tune them. And she looks.
Am I still blue?
It would have worn off after now, so if anything, you're slowly fading away from blue back to your normal sort of color, but it is just, if anything, you look pretty chilly.
Okay.
All right now. And she looks, she's like, now would you like something to eat before you go? Or anything like that? Or would you have any questions?
Yes.
I got a question. Do you have any stuffed animals here?
Do you mean like taxidermy, or do you mean like teddy bears?
Yeah, teddy bears.
No.
No. Any little? Let me look around on the table that she threw all the stuff off.
There's a lot of broken stuff in a pile at the other end. She doesn't seem to care. So.
But any kind of Jew jaw, little tchotchke, anything that's still intact.
Roll a perception check for me. Okay. You can see a very dry, static, dried out lizard.
Right. I go pick it up and I
like you hold it by the tail and it stays where it is, kind of dried out.
Can I have this?
That's what I mean if you want.
All right, I bring it over to Cinnamon and I say, here. for that really good shot back in the marketplace. This is
Oh.
your prize. Well done.
Thank you. And I put it into my pack that's in my back.
Fun fact about those, if you stir it with warm milk, you get a minty flavor.
A couple of questions. You mentioned food.
I did.
Does that involve lizards?
No.
Okay, then I would like some, please.
Why would you think that?
You said, well, lizard
That's a drink
milk.
straw. That's a stirrer.
Oh, I thought it was a lizard.
Oh, it is. And she starts
Okay.
to shuffle away. And you notice as she sort of starts, you can hear, she sort of disappears off into what looks like, she gets down almost on all fours, like crouches under and slides into this little like doorway, and you can hear a clatter and a clang, and you can hear Lyris, get over here, as this gnome goes running over, and you hear a clatter and a clang as this silver tray on wheels comes out with these huge bowls of fruit, all look to be almost crystallized. Lots and lots of dried out leaves and vegetables. This seems to be very much all veg, in fact, and one very suspicious looking fish.
Dare we ask in which way the fish is suspicious?
That is up to you. I just
Got
put
shifty
these
eyes.
here to,
Brightly colored, shifty eyes. Sure.
12 fins, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question. So Basil's been absorbing a lot. This lady is an orc, correct?
Correct.
And she is wearing a lot of very organic materials, and she's mentioned the balance a couple of times. Based on Basil's upbringing, does she seem to probably be a gatekeeper type druid?
She does.
Okay, because that's
Say
like his
that.
aunt. That's people who raised him and so forth. So, I mean, yeah. So he's going to go up to her and say, "It's Maria, correct?"
Correct.
I'm sure Cinnamon is here to help you because she enjoys stealing things and it's a challenge, and she's getting quite good at it. But also, I tend to be fairly good at finding things because of my dragon mark. And Basil like rolls across his like shoulder, and he's got like a big dragon mark going down his shoulder and down his back and so forth. And this seems like an important task.
It is a very important task. End of the world kind of business.
Yes. So
Did I mention that before?
that for me at least was implied, but that may not have been as clear to everyone else. No, that the world would end.
She just sort of nods to herself as she takes like a piece of this fish and just eats it, sort of.
So in short, I would like some fish, and also, yes, I think we would plan to help you.
Fantastic! And she takes a little plate and starts carving a little bit of this fish off. Which end do you like? Or middle?
That's fine. The cheek or the back or whatever part is good.
Well, it's all good. I'll give you this bit. She sort of gets this bit of fish and then puts fruit on top of it and sort of hands it over to you. She hands some to Lionel, Cinnamon, and Jen as well. And you hear a loud scrape across a stone floor as this gnome drags a stool, climbs up it like a ladder, and starts serving himself up as she dishes him up some fish. Right, well, if you all eat up, and then I'll get us all moving. And she will watch you all eat. She is very much observing all of you.
Is it
Are you
good?
going to tell us about? Yeah, right.
Oh, it's good. It is very, very good. The fish itself tastes amazing. the fruits, as you put them in your mouth, taste like a summer holiday. The feeling you get when you get off in a sort of summer afternoon, but like if you've got a red berry, you bite into it and it's blue on the inside. If you bite into a blue one, it's green on the inside. None of the colors seem to match up. And they're very, very sweet. And there's one yellow fruit. If you bite into that, it glows in the center. Yes, I like those too.
I'm gonna add my own flavor to this, and I'll pass out. Just a sec. Yep, I got 10 of them. I'll pass out good berries to everybody.
So everyone can heal up.
1 point.
And
It's for flavor.
she sits there for a moment and she's like, right, okay. And she sort of, they hear that, she tries to get up out of the seat. You can see this gnome sort of run to her aid and help her up. And she looks at Lionel, was like, you sure you want to stay here? I can't hear you. It's my old age.
Oh. I cast silence on myself, apparently. Yeah, absolutely. Just one thing. Hold on. And he runs up to Salt, Jen, and Cinnamon. Good luck with everything you're doing. I'll be writing all of it down. Please bring back stories. And also, and he rips out a page from his journal and hands it over. And it's a picture that he sketched of basically the spider fight of Cinnamon on the back and everyone else just like throwing stuff at it.
Oh, this is so good.
Thank you.
Cool, man.
It's very nice. I guess we'll have to try our best to remember everything that happens.
Yes, please do.
Well, can you
If
use
you
those
need-
little telephones you got there?
Yeah, you can use those.
Does he get one of those? Does Lionel get one of those?
Of course he does. Of course. What did you want? She starts leaning over the table
Yes.
towards you as well.
I mean, you could just dictate everything, can't you?
Well,
Pretty
the
much,
idea is that he records whatever they say, so, you know.
Yeah.
I'm just not a good listener. What would you like? And she holds out her hand. And what sort of ring would Lionel go for?
Probably it's just a silver band with blue gems going around it.
You've got those sapphires, sort of, that create almost a ring around a ring. And they glow and fix to your finger as it goes. Like, right, okay. And she's, let's do this. And as she does, she parts her hands, and the center of the floor where this mosaic still runs starts to split. And you see a small, very shallow pool at the center. It wouldn't be any deeper than your ankles. And she looks to Jen, Cinnamon, and Basil. So, didn't you get them?
Is this safe?
I'll go
what-
first if you want.
Well, what do you determine as safe?
I mean, it's not. Is it just water?
Yes. It is merely an agent for liminality.
Sounds good. I don't know what that word means, but sure.
I'm sure you'll learn after time. And she just sort of starts rubbing her hands together. And as she does, you can see this sort of orange glow start to surround her hands. And then these purple sparks come up. It's like, get in the water. Come on. In.
Walk into the water.
Okay.
I splashed in the puddle like a child.
Yeah. And she sort of looks at all. He's like, now I'm going to tell you to hold your breath, because if I'm honest, I haven't done this in a while and I don't know how long you'll be under for.
Good to know.
Yes, it's very good to know. I should have told the last lot. So hold your breath. And as she does, she sort of draws her hands back, and you see this tingle and strain of beams of this orange and purple sort of light. And for a moment, you feel like the whole room you're in starts to shudder and distort. And the last thing you hear is Moira turning to Lionel, going, "How do you feel about raptors?" as it sort of disappears. And I need the three of you to roll a Constitution save, please.
You know how this went last
Everything's
time.
fine.
Yeah, about the same.
About the same. Oh my god. Okay. Jen, you feel like you're falling through nothingness, but it's like your stomach drops, like when you're going over a hill or something fast, or just like in an elevator and it drops quickly. And there's a moment where you hear an absolute crash and thunder, and you sort of fall through this wooden bench, and it breaks in half. You see lots of dwarves and humans stand up and go, "Way!" like that, as like all the flagons of ale go everywhere. And you land sort of half on the floor, like leg up in the air. One of it's on a stool, the other part's on a bench and arm. And you don't quite remember how you got here, but you clasp a gold coin in your hand as you're there.
Sorry.
And you can hear them muttering. It's just like, my halflings, and start to move out of your way. And you place that gold coin on the table, and over the evening, 6 beers come to you, as well as a hot meal. And from up above somewhere, as much as you don't remember it, Lionel, in your ring, you can see Jen not remembering anything until Maria's like, "Okay, so raptors, you will have to feed them twice a day, and don't go near that one, he's bitey. We only get Lissa to do that one."
What are their names?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Listen, normally doesn't. If you want to name them, you may.
Yes.
But
I'd
you
love to name
will
them.
then be in charge of them. That's the catch.
Okay, deal.
Right. As she leads you off to this cave, this section of the room where there are these raptors, all brightly different colored in place, looking excitedly, craning their necks. These fans sort of spread out as they see you. Their teeth snapping, not in like an anger way, like they're chirping to each other and chirping at her as she enters the room. And she's just like, "Oh," as she heads over to them. Like, if they had fur, she'd be ruffling it.
Oh my god.
That
They're
one bites.
beautiful.
And that one is very, very quick with the claws. You should ask Lissa.
Oh. So cute.
Okay, well, if I need you to run errands on one of the other planes, you're going to have to learn how to ride one of these.
Oh,
Just
yes.
so you're aware.
I'll put
Good.
that on the docket first.
Good, good. I expect documentation of them later today. And she sort of waves you off and does that shuffle out as you hear that rattle go. And Cinnamon and Basalt, you feel like you're falling. And Cinnamon, you feel like you're crashing. There's this moment where you are tumbling through nothingness, but you feel like you lose control, like you're spinning and twirling in the air. And for a moment, there's a rush of what looks like straw and tiles as you crash through this roof, through this ceiling, and all the way down what seems to be like a very long drop, almost like a tower. You hit all of these sort of bits of material, almost like in I've forgotten the word for them. Hammocks. I don't know, I thought it began with a B, but almost like hammocked across as if they're drying. You can smell these dyes, this beetroot of as you hit each thing. You can feel the dampness as this happens, as you go through all of these different materials. You can hear yelling and screeching as you almost tangle yourself up in them, and you crash at the bottom of this tower, looking up at this glamour weave drifting down, all of these sheets as they start to cover your head and your body. And you do see Basalt very angelically start to just float down and land almost perfectly next to you in what is now this just pile of clothing, material, you name it.
Ow.
Are you all right?
Yeah, I don't like this whole interplanar travel. I think I've decided that. I don't like interplanar travel.
Maybe you'll get used to it the more you do it.
Maybe. Where are
Do
we?
you know? Yes, I was going to ask you the same thing. This does seem to be a lot of glamour weave. Do you think we're in some sort of warehouse?
Oh, maybe. Why would we be in a warehouse?
And almost as you say that, you hear an absolute crash of a door being kicked in, going, "Who has been in my stock again? What have I told you?" And there is that chaos as you see this very, very tall, very extravagant elf storm in, this jet black hair as it sort of flops very dramatically to one side, very neat over the sides, these piercing blue eyes, smart long coat, and billowing sleeves as these what will catch your eye first, the most dramatic boots you have ever seen, as they burst, as they are full of color and made of almost a glamour weave like material itself, as you see the pattern of a dragon sewn in as it flies around his ankle and passes on to the next shoe. And he looks at you, both of you. Ugh, I can't believe she sent me 2 more. And I think that is where we will leave Eberron this week. So I think we should go round. Let us know where we can find you on the interwebs, and also would love to hear your favorite part. So we're going to go in reverse order this time. So we will start with Captain Faitheye. Oh, hi.
Oh, hi. Oh, gosh. I did not expect to go first. I'm Faye. You can find me on Twitter at Captain Fakeeye. And my favorite part, oh, gosh, may have been the chase scene of just seeing a gnome, a teenage girl, a cleric clanking along, a lion, and then a half-orc hobbling along in the back. All with that music. Lovely music choices, Alex.
No, the half-orc was in front, wasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah,
you're
at
right.
one point. Yeah. At one point, the half-orc was in front. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. And then we're going to hop down to our lovely Lionel, who is currently still in the ethereal plane looking after raptors and taking notes.
Yes, raptors. Hey, I'm Eli.
Stocking in the ethereal plane. Awesome.
Quite the life. Lionel's set for life. I'm Eli. You can find me at _reliable1 on Twitter. Definitely my favorite part was finding out that I get to take care of raptors for the rest of my life. That was like blissful.
I'm a big raptor fan. So. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you. And then we're going to hop over to our shape-shifting half of Jen. Oh, hi.
Thanks. I'm Scott Rohrbach. You can find me at Scott Rohrbach on Twitter. My favorite part was probably the chase scene, but certainly after that was the Legolas jumping. Well done, Cinnamon, skewering that creature with your rapier, my favorite weapon.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And last but certainly not least, as always, the very lovely Hans.
Thank you. I loved everything. I really like both of the guest players today, and I got very excited this concept that Alice is going to collect as many of the guest players as possible and like keep them in the ethereal plane for future play, or just like to give somebody a stake in that. I really like that, but I loved everybody's characters. Also, I love the imagery that we're using in the game. And I will take this as an opportunity to segue into the fact that Alice is a professional imageographer, and you can follow her Patreon and see more of that. So I have to do that plug. That's required.
Yeah, because I'm awful and I forget that I have that.
It's on the screen now, though, so it's great.
Thank you. Otherwise, yes, I am White Rabbit Pick on Twitter. That is where you can find me. And yes, I have a Patreon. I'm also a photographer as well as the other half of this academy. Otherwise, please check out the links that are coming up in chat now. That includes the Discord. We have a channel just for the show. We would love to hear what you think. If you want to get in this game or any of our other viewer games, send us Scratticus. We would absolutely love to have you, so come and try out the World of Eberron, one of my favorites. Also, if you have missed today's session, this will be up on YouTube, so you can catch up via there as well with all of our other shows as well. A huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors who we couldn't do this without in the press. I ran the first viewer game for Argo 37 on Dark Matter, which you can now get in hardback, which is amazing, so please go check that out. Also the wonderful Hero Forge, we're doing some more stuff with them very soon, which I'm super excited about, so stay tuned to hear about that. And of course the Deck of Many with the magic moving spell cards, and also Humblewood, which you can see here tomorrow at 6 p.m. EST as another viewer game. Otherwise, keep evoking emotions, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.